What's up, everybody? Chicago Goonie here, bringing another Arsenal talk. This Arsenal talk might be a little shorter than the norm. Um, just want to get a few things off my chest and talking about this transfer saga that we're currently in. Um, we have, August 14th. You know, it's not like it's a month away. It's not like it's a few weeks away, 2 months away. It's a week and a half away. And yet we have not seen a single signing come in. We're cutting it awfully short, very short. You're looking at the last few days. Leon, their president, their manager, their board, what have you, have been coming out over the last 3 days, almost like Arsenal has in the past, almost like other teams have in the past when they're trying to brace their fan base for a player leaving. Leon has come out and said that there are some prices that you just can't say no to. That there is a possibility that they will that Lacazette will be leaving this summer. They've been saying that over the last few days, which is good for us. Obviously, I pointed out in my last Arsenal talk that it's good for us that Lacazette hasn't said a single word. Mahrez hasn't said a single word. As far as the Mahrez stuff, Ranieri is coming out now all of a sudden and saying that Mahrez is distracted. Um, he's been trying to talk to Mahrez about staying, so that's good for us. If Mahrez is so distracted by these Arsenal rumors or whatever team that might be in for him, all he has to do is come out on Twitter, do a press conference, do an interview through a reputable news outlet, and just say, I'm staying. I'm not leaving. I'm staying. I'm going to sign a new contract with Leicester City, and that's it. That's all he has to do. But he hasn't. He has yet to do that. Maybe his agent is working behind the scenes to try to get as much money out of Leicester City as possible. But again, nothing has been really said about that either. There's been some rumors that he's going to sign a new contract with Leicester City, but those things, it came and gone. But again, we're only a few days away here, week and a half. Whatever has to happen by this weekend so that we can at least, Lacazette and Mahrez, they're quality enough that you can plug them straight into the squad and they'll do a job for you, hopefully. But again, you want them to get at least a few, four, three, four, maybe possibly 5 training sessions in with their teammates so he can understand the system a little bit. He can understand his teammates at least a little bit, rather than just waiting, 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 waiting. This is what I don't understand. Lacazette and Mahrez, they're available now. They've been in training. They've been in preseason games. It's not like the Griezmann rumors that are flying around right now, which is, it just doesn't make any sense to me that we would buy him. It just doesn't seem the way Arsenal does business. It just, to spend 70 million pounds on one player, I would fall over, have a heart attack, and die probably if I ever saw that in my lifetime. The chances of us seeing that in our lifetime is maybe 10 years from now, where every world class player is going to cost 70 million pounds or 80 million pounds, because that's where it's heading, with all the money coming in and the amounts of money that even the BPL is getting. La Liga is freaking out right now because of the money that we can offer their good Spanish players and the good players within La Liga that are not named Real Madrid or Barcelona. Even Atletico Madrid is freaking out a little bit. But it just doesn't make sense to me of why we're waiting, waiting, waiting for this while the players are there just to take. The only logical reason, obviously, is for Leon to try to get some type of replacement or backup in. They have Fakir coming back anyway from injury. I don't know how fit he is or how ready he is, but he usually played alongside or behind They kind of classify him as an attacking midfielder slash striker. Who knows if they're trying to bring someone else in with the money that Arsenal's going to pay them for Lacazette. That's the only logical reason why this is taking so long for Lacazette. For Mahrez, don't get it. Maybe Leicester City is trying to go out there right now and purchase somebody with their 35 or 40 million pounds that we're going to give for Mahrez. They bought this Polish kid, this Polish winger, who played in the Euros, I guess, with Poland. But he's like 21 years old. It doesn't, is that really a comparison to Mahrez, who is the current PF Player of the Year? So some of this stuff, it's just we're just dragging this on to penny pinch. What seems like it's penny pinching, which is ridiculous. It's a week and a half away. If we don't have one of those players in before that first game against Liverpool, I mean, it's not like we're playing a bottom half team to start off the season. It's not like we're playing a West Ham or Crystal Palace or Aston Villa. That was our first three games of the last 3 years, and we lost two out of the three of them. Because just imagine that first game on August 14th against Liverpool. I mean, it's a real team, man. I mean, you could say what you want. It's still Liverpool. They still have a really good striker up top with Daniel Sturridge. They still have a decent midfield. Their defense maybe not so great, but I mean, it's still a real team. They have a real manager who's going to manage those players, who's going to get them up for this game. And you're looking at an Arsenal side right now that there's just too many holes currently because Ozil, Koscielny, Giroud, even Ramsey and Sanchez, they're not going to be ready for that game. I think it's not until next Monday that Ozil and Giroud and Koscielny come back into full training. And you're looking at Sanchez and Ramsey. You don't want to rush those guys back. You want to give them a full, proper preseason to get fit instead of rushing them back because if you try to rush them back, that's how injuries happen. And with Ramsey, I mean, he's a guy who's just an injury problem waiting to happen. You can guarantee he's going to be out for at least 2 months of the season. Sanchez, the way we brought him back too early last season, it took him another month or month and a half or so to finally get back up to fitness and finally get it back up to his playing style. You don't want to rush those guys back, especially with Sanchez and that ankle injury. Holy shit. How he played the rest of that final at Copa America is beyond me. That guy is just, he's a fucking superhero. But again, even though he is a superhero, he still needs that time to get fit, and you don't want to rush him back. He just got back into training, I think, a day or two ago. Same with Ramsey, and you don't want to rush those guys back. So that first game, man, that first game is it's going to be. If we don't have Lacazette or Mahrez into the side for that game, I might watch that game on mute because I will. Because just imagine if Liverpool scores the first goal, of how toxic it's gonna turn on Arsene Wenger, the players. Unfortunately, even though it's not their fault, it's Arsene Wenger's fault. It's Ivan Gaziz's fault, and if Stan Kroenke's there on top of that for the first game, it's gonna be all their fault. That they're not bringing in the players that are necessary for us to win, to be prepared for the season. And you're gonna hear Arsene Wenger. Imagine them scoring that first goal. Imagine them being up 2-0 in the 80th minute, of how toxic it's going to be at the Emirates. You're going to hear a chance of spend the fucking money, this, that, and the other thing, booing the players, booing the manager. It's going to be awful. It's going to be embarrassing that we try to call ourselves a big club, but we're just penny pinching and we're just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And it's going to be bad. Even if we bring those players in, say, a week or two later. People keep on trying to use this excuse. The window's open until August 31st. Yeah, but the season starts on August 13th. For us, it's August 14th. You want to start the season on the front foot. You don't want to start catching up on the first game. Arsene Wenger will probably come out after the game and say, well, there's 37 more games to go. It's a long season. I don't want to hear that shit anymore. I'm done with that. I'm done of hearing those type of excuses because you need to start off strong. Especially against a team like Liverpool, it's going to be a marquee game. It's going to be one of the marquee games of that weekend. Regardless of what you think of Liverpool, what other jokes you want to crack against them, it's still Liverpool. It's still a huge fan base. It's still a huge draw for TV ratings. And imagine that. You're going to have Liverpool fans, Arsenal fans, and then you're going to have the rest of the other fans around the world watching that game. And it's going to be embarrassing if you see fans booing the manager, starting chants of spend the fucking money, and all that. It's going to be embarrassing. In my perfect world, I would love to see Lacazette and Mahrez, or even just Lacazette, come in and be announced by this weekend, because then he would have, because our last preseason game is August 7th against Man City. We play Viking FK on Friday, and then we play Man City on Sunday. So if you bring him in by the weekend, he'll come back to London, or he'll be at London with the team, and they can train for the rest of the week, so he can get, you know, acquainted with his teammates at least. At least give him that. I mean, Lacazette and Mahrez, they're good enough players that you can plug in, but at the same time, I mean, come on. There's no reason to to go this long into the window because of penny pinching and whatever type of deals we have, silent deals, or okay, well, we'll let you buy a player before we acquire him. I mean, come on. We're the ones that are paying the money. If this deal was as they say there was, if we've been talking this long, then Leon should know by this stage that they're going to lose him. Leicester City should know by this time that they're going to lose Mahrez. So those inquiries of other players that they can bring in, blah blah blah, the wheels should already be in motion. But that first game, man, that first game is just, like I said, I might put it on mute, especially if they score the first goal, especially if Liverpool scores that first goal. I might put it on mute because I won't want to hear what the home fans are gonna, what they're gonna say, what they're gonna do. I might just close my laptop and just completely stay off of social media because it's gonna be an atomic bomb that day. Because none of our main players are really gonna be there. We might have two kids in Chambers and Holding as our starting center halves for that game. And you can definitely, I mean, in my opinion, I think you're gonna see Santi playing as number 10. I think you're gonna actually see Chaka and Coughlin side by side for that first game because those two guys are gonna need to be there to protect those kids against one of the better strikers in the world. Yeah, Sturridge is, he's an injury waiting to happen, but at the same time, when he's fully fit, when he's fully ready to go, he's one of the best strikers in the world. He's just that damn good. It's gonna be scary. It's gonna be scary if one of those two guys do not come in before that first game. With the Mara stuff, maybe they're gonna wait until after the Leicester City game. Maybe Leicester City's gonna make up some type of bullshit injury before the first game of the season and say, well, he's going to be out for the next 2 or 3 weeks. But then the day after the Leicester City game, then they announce that Amaras is going to Arsenal. It's just so he doesn't have to take on, uh, his former home fans who might boo the shit out of him. Because that's our second game of the season is against Leicester City. That's the only logical reason why this Mahrez thing isn't going through as quickly as it should. If it is even is a possibility. I mean, there's tweets flying around from Arsenal fans saying that madness incoming, greatness incoming from Robert Perez. There's a kid who made a tweet who has a picture of him and Robert Perez standing next to the BPL trophy, and I looked at this kid's Twitter page going all the way back for about 2 or 3 months to see if he makes any kind of outlandish tweets about current players or players that are coming in. He doesn't. So you almost have to believe the kid that Robert Perez said something about the transfer window that greatness is coming to Arsenal. I don't know what that exactly means. Does it mean Lacazette and Mahrez at the same time? Maybe. Is that does that include madness incoming? Who knows? I mean, you can go in so many different directions with that. You can plug in different type of players like a Griezmann or something that he might be coming, but so many different dominoes need to fall for that to even happen. I mean, you need to see Lukaku go to Chelsea, Diego Costa go back to Atletico Madrid, and then Griezmann getting pissed off and saying I'm going to Arsenal. That's the only way we're gonna get Griezmann. That's the only way. But Goal.com came out with an article today saying that Chelsea has written Atletico Madrid 2 times already saying, stop inquiring about Diego Costa. Stop trying to talk to him. Stop trying to do all your naughty tactics of trying to get him back. But that's the only way the domino is going to fall for Griezmann to come to Arsenal. Unless Atletico Madrid is just that desperate to get, say 60 or 70 million pounds in their bank account for one player. But then again, they're going to be on the back foot trying to get some type of striker in, and maybe you know that's a great conspiracy theory. I mean, obviously, why would they buy Diego Costa back with they don't play a two striker set? I mean, they did a little bit last year with Griezmann because he's not your prototypical big striker. He's not your powerhouse stronghold striker. He's more about pace and skill and technique than where Diego Costa is about being an asshole and throwing his elbows around and stuff, being physical. But that's the only way that domino is going to fall, in my opinion, if we even get Griezmann. So madness incoming for me is that it's going to be Mahrez and Lacazette. It has to be. Arsene Wenger said that Lacazette was basically like our fifth option. Okay, well, why is he in the side yet? Why isn't he announced yet? Why is it taking so fucking long? And again, sometimes even in past transfer windows, sometimes the most uh, the most common names that are being thrown out there all the time are not even the names that we're even getting. I mean, you can look at the Ozil signing. I mean, he came out of the blue once he had his fallout with Carlo Ancelotti. He came out of the blue and fell into our lap. I mean, we were in for supposedly Higuain in that same summer, but then that all fell apart because we thought we could get Suarez. So who knows? Who knows what's going on behind the scenes? I mean, the way Arsenal does their business is, it's very secretive, obviously, but at the same time, it's just like if you want to be a big club, you have to act like a big club. You have to spend your money and stop penny pinching. I mean, look at freaking Man City. They buy Leroy Sand for what, 37 million pounds or 35 million pounds. He's a prospect still, kind of in a way. I mean, he's a good prospect. But again, I mean, he had like something like 8 goals and 6 assists last season. That's is that really worth 35 million pounds? But they don't give a shit. Yeah, the excuses are already being made that they can't spend like Chelsea or Man City. But at the same time, as Arsenal fans and looking at the bank account and seeing what we have in cash reserves, that's a bunch of bullshit. We can compete with that, but we just don't want to. So at the end of the day, I mean, one of these guys have to come in by this weekend because then it's just if it doesn't, I mean, it's just going to be a shit show. I mean, honestly, I mean, you're going to have Theo possibly starting up top, which he came out today saying that he wants to play on the right wing. He doesn't want to play at striker, even though he can play the position, he said he doesn't want to play it anymore. So are you really going to start him at day one? that first game against Liverpool when his heart's not into it, when his mind's not into it, when his confidence is obviously shot. That dude has no confidence right now. He's trying too hard. I used to love Theo, but then some of his antics last season just made me shy away from him. But that guy has zero confidence right now. You saw him in the Chivas game, and that was the one game I couldn't see the MLS All Star game just because it was, I was working at the time, and stuff like that. But you saw him in that Chivas game. He was trying too hard. He was trying too hard to do anything at all. Unfortunately, I mean, you saw him. He had that one chance where he should have buried it, but the goalkeeper was in a great position. You can't really blame that on Theo, even though a ton of people on Twitter were. The goalkeeper was just in the perfect position. You couldn't have done anything differently as far as Theo Walcott in that position when he had that cross and he one timed it. But right now his confidence is so shot. Do you really want him starting at striker in that first game? I mean, at one time we had Joel Campbell up top during that Chivas game playing at striker. And of course, Akpom came in and then he was playing at striker and scored another goal for us. But again, do you really want that player to be the starting striker game one against Liverpool? Now, if we were playing, one of the newly promoted sides, maybe if we're playing a Sunderland or a Hull City or Burnley, that would be okay probably. But it's Liverpool, man. I mean, they have real players. You don't want to start the season at zero and after the first game still zero or even 1 point. You want 3 points in that first game. You want to set the mark. You want to set the standard in that first game. You want to have that confidence from that first game to the second game to the 38th game because there should be no excuses this season. Yeah, we're going to be coming up against some great managers, some great teams that are being developed currently. We're going to be coming up against teams that, don't have Europe at all. A Chelsea, a Liverpool, who are just going to be focused primarily on the league. Enough of the bullshit, enough of this penny pinching, enough of giving these teams extra time to bring in another player. Fuck it. If you have to pay an extra 2 million to get the player in right now, so be it. Who cares? Like I said, 2 million to a big club like Arsenal is it's less than a parking ticket. It's less than 2 million is less than a match day. You know, so some of the differences in some of these scenarios and rumors that are going around about madness incoming and greatness isn't coming and this player is coming, that player is not coming. Drexler is all of a sudden wants to leave Wolfsburg and now he's linked to us and it just keeps on getting more and more ridiculous. But something needs to happen. Something needs to happen for that first game to really, the fans are going to be behind the players 100% in that first game. But if it all goes wrong, at a snap of a finger, it's just going to be ugly. It's just going to be super, super ugly, and it's going to be embarrassing. And the social media, the news outlets, man, they're going to have a story. They're definitely going to have a story, and Arsene Wenger is going to get just bamboozled until that player comes in or whatever player that we're in for. But hopefully it happens, man. Hopefully it happens by this weekend. Hopefully something is happening right now. Who knows? Maybe Lacazette is in London right now doing his medical. Maybe Mars is doing a medical right now. They're going to do their photo shoot and their video or whatever it is on Friday or Saturday or Sunday. But they need to get into that training session. Whether it's Monday or Tuesday, they need to be there. They need to be there. One of them at least needs to be there game one. So even if we do lose, you can at least say, okay, we brought the player in. Now it's just going to take him time to settle. Okay, we didn't have Ozil. Maybe Sanchez isn't fully fit. But once all these guys get together, it's just going to be magic. At least we can probably say that. But the last thing I want to hear is, oh, we have 37 more of these to go. Relax, it's a grind. No, I don't want to hear that. If you want to be champions, you have to think like champions from game one to the very last game of the season.